Global uncertainties become personal in the 401k. The Internal Revenue Code 401k provision from 1978 allows deferral of taxes on income saved for retirement. There are, of course, various retirement vehicles, 403b, 457s, KEOs, IRAs, and so on, but 401k is the familiar proxy name for defined contribution retirement plans. 65 million Americans own 401ks, worth $4.5 trillion at year-end 2007, today worth about $3 trillion. Says the wife to the husband, "I told you not to check the 401k." Some call downsized 401ks 201Bs. In part to shift retirement responsibility to individuals, retirement plans definitely moved from defined benefits in the 1930s through 1970s to defined contributions in the 1990s. In the 1990s, defined contribution 401k plans brought Americans into the market, often through mutual funds. Thus, in 1980, less than 6% of American households owned mutual funds. By 2007, 44% did. No wonder so many feel angst as markets decline. Well, up yesterday 10%, and holding, it seemed steady, at least as when I saw it a few minutes ago. The Dow Industrials, as you know, lost 5.4% last week, 23% last month, and 41% over the last year. The Congressional Budget Office testified 15 to 20% losses across retirement plans could, quote, lead people to reduce or delay purchases of goods and services, or delay their retirement. Imagine a perfect storm when Social Security and state and local government retirement provisions lose value at the same time as 401k retirement plans. Social Security statements, here's an example that came to me recently in the mail, now carry this disclaimer, page 1, right column, quote, Social Security is a compact between generations. In 2017, it's 9 years from now, we will begin paying more in benefits than we collect in taxes. Without changes, by 2041, the Social Security Trust Fund will be exhausted. State and local government retirement plan assets declined by more than $300 billion between second quarter 2007 and second quarter 2008. Well, the 20 largest public pension plans have funded ratios of about 90% on average. Some smaller plans have funded ratios below 60%. Are credit default swaps a form of derivative, the next shoe to drop? The red bar on the left shows $54.6 trillion in credit default swaps outstanding is larger than world gross domestic product, the gray bar in the middle. Credit default swaps are also larger than the combined total value of all stocks on the New York Stock Exchange, U.S. gross domestic product, and U.S. national debt, shown the black bar on the right. In fact, credit default swap market nearly doubled each year from 2001 through 2007. Some politely call credit default swaps, quote, an unregulated, uncapitalized insurance market. Others more bluntly call them gaming contracts, a form of leveraged financial gambling. In 2002, in the Berkshire Hathaway annual report, Warren Buffett called derivatives time bombs, quote, financial weapons of mass destruction, carrying dangers that, while now latent, are potentially lethal. Those older have less time to recover from market declines. In the church, 774,000 members are 65 years or older, about 8%. 317,000 members 65 and older constitute about 6% of the international church, which is younger on average than the church in North America. In the United States and Canada, 457,000 members are 65 or older, about 10%. What happens when a Temple-married senior couple husband aged 63 to 65 years old, planning to serve a mission sees the retirement drop. According to the Research Information Division, if anticipated senior missionary service is delayed, intervening financial, health, or other family factors can make it difficult for some senior couples ever to serve. Mission expenses are difficult, of course, for senior couples to calculate. These expenses vary by location and country and unpredictably increase with a weak U.S. dollar. Many senior couples may feel the need to help children and grandchildren. As part of a general monitoring of financial and spiritual trends, would it be useful to track senior couples who ask to postpone serving, who ask for early releases due to rising financial challenges, or who request assignment changes to less expensive locations within their own mission boundaries? In conclusion, the heritage of the saints is to grow together by spiritual refinement through trial. Whether over the fence or across the world, each generation can be taught to prepare. And may it be useful to monitor financial and spiritual impacts on specific groups of members: children, young women and young men, young adults, or seniors. Today's update. Comments or questions?
I think you've convinced me. I'll delay my retirement.
Well, what was that credit derivative you referred to that had such huge figures associated with it?
Swaps.
Credit
default swaps.
Swaps?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, Elder Oaks, this is the cover story from Fortune magazine called the $55 trillion credit. These are essentially contracts. Let me give you the example that I found clearest. American International Group insured bonds for companies and enterprises around the world, including Lehman Brothers. When Lehman Brothers went bankrupt, the bonds that Lehman Brothers issued, billions and billions of those bonds, called on AIG Insurance. AIG then, having initially figured never to have to pay those, suddenly had these contracts which became due. That affected, of course, its own credit ratings, its ability to raise the cash that it needed to cover its positions, and so on. As of June 30th, the number was the number that we showed there, about 55 million. Since June 30th, some of that has been unwound. The leverage is starting to be unleveraged, as it were. But it's still a huge number. I mean, it's surprising that it's larger than world GDP. And that's part of what's lurking out there still that I think gives many people cause to pause and say that despite some happy news yesterday, we're probably not out of the woods.
Would it be accurate to say that these credit default swaps are the equivalent of life insurance, but the policy is written on the integrity of corporate bonds or things like that?
Yes, I think that Elder Hales and others who have specialized expertise may be able to correct me, but that's, as I understand it, what it is. And because it's unregulated and uncapitalized, it works fine so long as no one calls them.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's really a form of gaming.
The other party of this is part of the old maid scenario. They were insuring defective instruments at the time that they did it. And not only that, but other investment houses would insure other investment houses so that it was the delusion of collusion that I talk about. Mm-hmm. They all knew that they were dealing with defective merchandise, but they never thought they'd default on it because they thought they could work their way through it. They didn't.
Yeah. I've never heard of these before. That's why I had to ask for a definition.
A little like life insurance.
Now, there is part.
Yeah.
Everybody in the world.
After you, President.
Everybody in the world is affected by AIG. Every nation, every corporation, and many small companies and individuals. And the sad part about it is that if you take the ratings that were put on the instruments, that a lot of this done, if you take Standard & Poor's, I won't go into it, but they were defective in their ratings as well. And they have frozen. I've had people call me, they can't even get Standard & Poor's to rate bonds they need for their business, for their capital, for their mergers, because right now they're readjusting everything. They're literally having to stop the merry-go-round to find out where all of this is, and it's virtually impossible, but that's what they're trying to do. Is that helpful?
I think it's very helpful. Part of what's interesting, just small last footnote, if you can say it's insured, then you can take on a great deal of moral hazard. You can assuage your conscience and all kinds of things if you can persuade yourself that you've bought an insurance policy.
I was chairman over at Beneficial for a number of years, and I looked at life insurance. And it amounted to this. They looked at charts, and they bet that I was going to live so long. I bet that I wasn't, so I started paying them money to prove it. That about what it amounts to.
It's a lot quicker to go to Las Vegas.
Jeffrey, for a happy note, why don't you quote
Let's go to something like 9/11 now.
Jeff, did you quote Samuel Johnson?
Well, I quoted Samuel Johnson to President Packer and Elder Oaks this morning, who said once that he tried to study philosophy once, but happiness kept breaking through. We hope we're in that matter.
Well, this is very good. Thank you, Garrett.
Thank you.
We have to pause and remember that we're leading 13 million people worldwide, and this pestilence, this tsunami, is touching them all. So we've got to settle down, sober up, and wise up.